Welcome to Collage of Health. Thanks for being here today. It is December 22nd, the day after the solstice, a few days before Christmas of 2025. Kind of been called to make a video today, fill you in on what's been happening in my life because it kind of segues out in some ways to the collective. The last few videos I've made have been very much interspersed since June of 2025. I do want to point out on June 4th, I mentioned that silver and gold, specifically silver, was going to go up, and it has indeed gone up. It's more than doubled, I think, since June. I think it's close to like $70 an ounce, $66, something like that now, and back then it was, I think, under $30. So the reason I'm pointing this out is so much of what I say on these videos is just super ethereal and weird. And when something comes up that has some kind of tracking, um, especially beforehand, not like the day before, even the day of, where some of the prophetic messages I've gotten have had, when it comes up months before, that gives a little credence to everything else that I say, I think. Anyway, since June, I've made very few videos. I've really focused on moving. I got a prompt from Neem Karoli Baba Maharaji, who's been my guide, one of my guides, along with Jesus and Sote San and Mother Mary. This dude who was considered a saint in India, Hindi saint, has come through to me, as he has to many Westerners, as a guidepost. He guided me a couple of years ago to go to Ayurveda school. I didn't really have that calling before he came through, directing me in that way. I followed the direction. I actually completed one program, and now I'm completing a second program as we speak. So, really taken that ball and run with it. And in him directing me to move to New Mexico, specifically to Santa Fe to build the House of All, I took that ball and ran with it also. I left Asheville in the end of October after selling my house, returning from India from one of the internships in the Ayurvedic program. Um, I packed up and moved out and have been on the road since. It all worked out wonderfully until I got to Santa Fe. And since then, it's been snake bitten. It's been one weird, kind of random thing after another, especially around my dog. Just to give you one example, we were on a hike and these two unleashed dogs ran up on us, knocked me. I was knocked over trying to like protect these dogs from my dog and my dog from these dogs. And that kind of stuff has come up repeatedly to the point where one day on a hike or walk, I asked the land, "What's going on? Do you want me to stay?" And it essentially said, "No, there's too much karma here. We don't think you're going to be able to hold it. And in you not being able to stabilize the land, then you're just going to make it worse by adding more karma." And that seemed to be a pretty accurate message because that's how I felt. Like I felt like I was being affected negatively by my experiences and was in turn throwing out negative energy. So, as you can tell, I take these directives from, you could call him my guru, Neem Karoli Baba, pretty seriously as a devotee. But mm, over time, put a bid in on a house, looked really good, didn't get it. House I loved. Same day, a family member got hurt. They live on the East Coast. I'm in the Southwest. I couldn't be there for them. So in the last couple of weeks, last week especially, I've really questioned this decision and have thought very seriously about leaving here. Pretty routinely have gone into the Akashic Record, haven't had this inkling to put out a video, but today I want to put it out just because some stuff has come up in the collective, around collective messages that kind of are interspersed with this whole Santa Fe, New Mexico saga that I feel is important to share. So on the 16th of December, I got a sense that happiness is an inside job. The house of all is really about the house within oneself. And they said silver and gold. Silver and gold came up again, and in the last week, it's gone up pretty significantly. Um, and then I'm walking down a corridor of the past. Um, I'm told that I need to take care of myself. And I ask about the house of all, and they say yes. I need to stay here, build the kingdom of heaven here, protect the treasures I've worked so hard to acquire. Time of eternity is manifested in each now moment. Harden not your heart to your fellow man. He knows not what he has done. Goodbye for now until tomorrow. So I get that message. I get out of the Akashic Record and I decide to open to a biblical passage. And I open to this passage, which to me reinforces this house of all. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places. And this has been for me a parched place. And make your bones strong, and you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose water never fails. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. So that is a key sentence that I didn't understand what it meant until afterwards. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to live in. So I take my dog for a walk. This is last, I want to say Thursday, right after getting that message. It was Thursday. And I get a call from this guy named, well, I won't tell you what his name is, but he also does Ayurveda, and he also was touched by Neem Karoli Baba himself in his life. He doesn't live near me. He lives on the West Coast, and we met really kind of serendipitously. Didn't even know that we had this Maharaji connection until we got talking one day. It was kind of a really random meeting that had more to do with Ayurveda and mental health than it did about Maharaji. So after I got the prompting last June to sell my house and move to Santa Fe and build a house of all, I started to get other messages, one of which was on July 4th to reach out to this dude who was moving himself to Europe and let him know that Maharaji wanted him to be a part of the House of All. And he said, I'm moving to Europe. Like I'm not moving to Santa Fe. And I said, I know, but I got this message that I needed to reach out to you by Maharaji. We've kept in touch very peripherally since then, maybe a couple of texts back and forth when I was in Europe, or not Europe, when I was in India. We had a text that went back and forth around Maharaji's temple in India, which was way, way too far for me to visit. So anyway, I hadn't really heard from this guy since then. Well, Thursday, when I was really questioning, like, should I move out of here? Should I just like leave Santa Fe? Is this maybe a calling that wasn't real? This guy calls me from Taos. He happens to be in Taos. He's in the United States and he's in Taos, which is an hour and a half away, where there already is an ashram in Neem Karoli Baba's name, and tells me that Maharaji gave him a message that he had to reach out to me ASAP. So he wanted to call me. So I took that as a message that I needed to kind of hold the fort a little longer. I went up to Taos. We talked. We've only met one other time, which was the day before my father had died, back in March of 2025, last March. Haven't met him in person since then. So did go up to Taos and we talked, and we went to the temple, etc. We had some chai, went for a walk with my dog, and then I came back here and he let me know that he met with some of the devotees who run the ashram in Taos after I left, and told them about the prompting that Neem Karoli Baba had given me to build a house of Bala in Santa Fe, and they are willing to talk to me and try to help me out with different ideas and such. Specifically hooking me up with someone who has built that House of All in Colorado. Apparently, there's an ashram there too that has more recently been started. So I took these as signs, but also, my life is kind of in flux and I don't want to be on the road anymore. And it's expensive here. And I have a limited budget on how much I can afford with a house, even though I have purchased a little bit of silver and is going up dramatically. It's not going to really pay the bills enough for me to get a grandiose house of all here in Santa Fe. Meanwhile, I've started reading books about Nostradamus and the predictions about the end of the world as we know it. And so I've had this dialogue with Nostradamus, which has really not taken me very far, other than him giving me some personal downloads around very mundane things around my dog. Um, but it kind of opened the rabbit hole to the whole thing that was happening in Denver with the nefarious deeds that were happening underneath the Denver International Airport. The many levels of ETs and humans working together in nefarious ways, running trafficking and doing all kinds of horrible things with humans and hybriding ETs and humans and um, much involvement on multiple levels of what one would call conspiracy. So this is information that I've put out in video. The pretty much the last time I was making videos on a routine basis back in June, all this stuff started coming up around DIA, Denver International Airport in Texas, the situation where that camp was flooded and all the stuff that might be happening under the scene there. So I started to wonder as I was tapping into Nostradamus, he didn't give me any information, but some of his quatrains, the um, symbolic messages that he put out, like what some of them could have meant. And then I started thinking about like going down the rabbit hole about DIA and was there a webbing that spurred from there to here in New Mexico? So I used this AI tool, not Chat GPT, but another one that I'm not really going to name right now, but I started to kind of converse with it, and they mentioned this place called Dulce, Dulce, Dulce or Dulce, which is in New Mexico, that is purported to have the same nefarious deeds happening under its site here. Um, and one of the things that the land said to me when it said, you can't hold the vibration here and you're just going to become part of the karma, was around all the atrocities that happened to the American Indians here, the natives. And what came through when I was dialoguing with the land was around the Pueblos and the Franciscans who came here to try to force religious practices on them in such a way that was horrendous. And the Pueblos actually kind of won the battle. So that came through as part of the karma that was being held in this area. But I think that the land was also talking about maybe places like Dulce or Dulce or whatever it's called, and places like what's it called? I think it's like Church Rock, something like that, where the biggest uranium spill happened in history in New Mexico, which is in this basin called the San Juan Basin. It's an area that includes Dulce. Now, the uranium spill that happened in 1979, which is the worst uranium spill in the United States history, happened on Navajo land. Dulce or Dulce is located on Apache land. Now, if it's true that there's all kinds of levels of tunnels and hybridization and child trafficking and adult trafficking happening here in that space, not to mention very close by where this horrible uranium spill happened. There's a lot of karma here. There's a lot of karma being held here. And yeah, I'm kind of called to share this with you as a truth holder, a space keeper of peace, not someone who's supposed to get involved in any of it, but someone who's supposed to hold potential truths that have to be uncovered. And maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe I'm supposed to see if I can fortify myself enough to just be a person who walks with love and peace and truth. And that in itself will help the vibration of this place. Maybe I'm only supposed to be here today to make this video and then I leave, or maybe indeed I'm supposed to build what's called a house of all. So I just want to end by reading the last couple of days that's in the Akash. I see a mountain that is snow-capped. Home lies here. In Santa Fe, I question, I'm told within the dormant mountain of hope. Will I find a place? Question mark. Yes. Soon? Yes. Then I see these dwarfs. Hi ho, it's off to work we go. And then Georgia on my mind. So then I question, am I supposed to go to Georgia? Who knows? Christ says to me, you will have what you're looking for once you stop looking for it. The sparks of the divine are within you. Hold fast to your beloved heart, for it is here that all matters. I see a wizard pointing to a date when I ask about home. He has on these wired rimmed glasses, and he said, procurement, solstice. Take your time today. You're tired and your heart is weary. No need to rush. All is working out well for you. I don't think that I'm moving here. And they said, stop searching. The land will drop in your lap. So it's hard not to reach when you're on the road, you're in temporary housing and you can barely leave the place because your dog is freaking out because he doesn't really understand where home is. Um, then today, happy days are here again. The sky is blue. I ask about the deeds in Dulce, and they say they're unbelievable beyond repair. Hearken to past lives. Atlantis, I ask, and they say even before Atlantis. The sculpting, they write skull, Skulpting, of nature is not to be done by human form. Mark these truths known. Hybridization of humans is tampering with, and God says no. Man is God's perfect gift to the world. And then I try to remote view this Dulce area and it's dark. There is despair. A prison guard leads me through. I see people reaching. I want to hand them something like a rock, and I'm told absolutely not, do not tamper. I need to go back and I have to return the rock. And then I'm like holding space with other light workers. Then I go to Jesus and he's on a spaceship and he wants to speak. He wants me to speak for him. So Jesus is asking me to speak for him. He feels like his throat is not able to speak, that I have to do it for him. What has been seen cannot be unseen. So what I've witnessed, what I'm experiencing cannot be undone or unseen. What has been uncovered cannot be covered. The Council of Life is on Earth now. It's in Apache territory. I see a native man, and he said the desecration of the land is tremendous. I'm handed keys from the native chief. Walk the red road, walk the road of the enlightened one. The truth will unfold in time. What does the land say? The land cannot hold its own without help. The land needs help. It needs your help. Will I buy here? It hasn't been decided yet. The colorful skies are lit with hope, hope that you stay. You will find your mark. Should I watch shows about this? Because, of course, after I get this download or this information, it wasn't a download, it was actually information on like an AI thing about this town. They pointed me to different things that I did read up on it, and they said direct experience in the Akash is better for you. I see the darkest of dark. I go back there and I sit with a high council of light. So I see myself sitting around this town with high council of light, and we meditate and we only try to alchemize love. Change happens on the inside and will reverberate out. So this is a message for all of us. Any kind of change that's possible will reverberate out. Only love, only love. And so we stand on this land, like in my mind's eye, with rocks of hope towards heaven. We're reaching these rocks towards heaven. We ask for the Almighty's help. We place our stones down and then we reorganize ourselves. Om Namah Shivaya, thy will be done. And then I'm directed to God to go look at the biblical passage, um, 3:17, and it's in, I think it's Mark. I think it was Mark, yeah, Mark 3:17, and it mentions the apostles. Jesus appoints the 12 apostles. So he took that as not that I was one of the 12 apostles, but as a message that Jesus needs people, ground crew, to get the word out. And yeah, so I did a whole deep dive on Chat GPT about this town, and basically it's a gas town, gas and oil town, and that been a lot of mining there, or a lot of drilling for oil, and that's what it's known for. It's actually one of the San Juan Basin, that area where uranium was found in that town's Church Rock or something like that. I forget the name of the town that was directly impacted by the uranium spill. It's in this San Juan Basin that is not directly next to Dulce, but it's close enough that there's this web of uranium that was mined that caused the major um, uranium spill in history in the United States that affected the Navajo population, and that this suspect town where there is a lot of drilling, to the benefit of the people or not, I'm not sure. But this conspiracy theory exists about multiple layers of atrocities occurring in tunnels underneath it. And that has been reported for quite a long time. So who knows why I'm here? I'm just putting this information out today. It seems a little grim a few days before Christmas, but definitely got the impetus to do this video, especially after opening the Bible today and getting the passage Mark 3:17 that had to do with Jesus naming a few of the apostles. So thanks for watching, and not sure if I'll be putting other videos out, but I have definitely had some thoughts about putting out some predictions, beautiful, gentle, hopefully predictions for 2026 for all of us. I know my predictions for last year did come true, one of which was move, at least for me. I moved my body for the first 6 months of the year, ended up running A to Z, starting out just running for like 2 minutes at a time. And then by June, I ran 10 miles in a race, did a whole bunch of other races last year. And then the second half of the year, I literally did move to where? Who knows? But I'll keep you updated.